is one of only 6 head coaches to go to the NCAA tournament in each of the last 7 years. A tremendous accomplishment, Mick.
Thank you, sir.
Aside from having good players, to what else do you attribute that?
Being a good Irishman like yourself. You want me to start it off?
Sure.
Let's do it. You going to partake tomorrow at all?
Once the games are over.
Okay. Just checking. I got to take St. Patty's Day. I can't really celebrate. So, fortunately, we've been playing last 7 years. But obviously, we've had a tremendous year. 29 wins for our team, and it's been fun the whole way because we have a very unselfish group of guys. They've been extremely pleasant to deal with and to coach because they play for each other. Coaches talk a lot about stuff like that, but it's hard to find. It's hard to, especially hard to find this day and age when unselfishness, when the individuality and brand marketing and the things that are glorified in our society today for athletes are what they are. So I'm really appreciative of my players. They got great attitudes. Aside from their talents, they have tremendous attitudes. They're great people. So we've just had a great run this year and tried to prepare. We knew we were going to be in this tournament for a long time, so we've been trying to prepare as best as we could for the NCAA tournament, to try to go on a run and be successful here in March. So we're excited to get started because, like I said, we've had this in mind for quite a while.
Coach Mark Billingsley, Manhattan Mercury. When you found out you're playing K-State, how did you do the preparation? Was it a lot of video? Was it a lot of making phone calls to common coaches that played in the Big 12 that you know? Talk a little bit about the process of finding out anything and everything you can about K-State, and what can you share with us on the intelligence?
Well, first of all, I would hope I didn't call anybody in the Big 12. My staff does the reconnaissance stuff. I would hope that their head coaches in their league wouldn't have answered if I would have called. There should be a little bit of league loyalty. But I watch a lot. In this day and age with technology being what it is, when our plane landed here Tuesday night, for about the next 24 hours, I watched probably the last 2 months of their season. So that's what I did all day Wednesday and Wednesday night, getting myself acclimated with K-State. And Coach Weber and Chris Lowry did a great job building the Southern Illinois program. So when I watch them play, it takes me back to my time at Murray State because they're so competitive. They don't take plays off. They never give in on either end of the floor, especially lately when they've been playing well. They've really made it hard. They make it as hard as they can on you to score, but I think they also do it on offense. They make it. Their players really know what they're good at. They're unselfish, and they're doing everything they can to get a great shot. So I don't see them taking possessions off. They just don't give in and take a bad shot. If they get in late clock, obviously they got to get the best one they can. But they do everything they can to get a great shot on offense too, and that's a tribute to Coach Weber. I think watching them play, it seems like he I would guess that he really likes these guys and what they've become. Obviously, I haven't talked to him, but watching his teams play for over the years, that would be a guess of mine. So I have a lot of respect for them and what they've had to go through to make the tournament.
Ken Corbett, Topeka Capital Journal. Looking at the stats between your team and K-State, they look pretty similar. Do you see a lot of similarities between your teams, what you try to do, and especially on defense?
Well, I'm not a huge stats guy, so I don't know them like you would probably know them, because I think that stats are relative to competition is why I would make that statement. I would say that we're both very balanced as far as we don't rely on one guy to score. They don't rely on one guy to score. But I'd like to think that we I know that they play really hard from watching them for the last 2 days. So I'd like to think that that would be the similarity, other than statistically, that both teams make sure both teams make it really hard on their opponents, do everything they can to maximize who they are. That both of us are overachieving type of teams.
Right. Excuse me, Riley Gates, GoPowerCat.com. When you look at K-State, what do you see on their bench, the reserve guys, when they come in? What type of a spark do they provide, and how tough is that going to be for you to stop?
Well, I think they're bringing, when they go to the bench, they get younger. But Snead was high rated, right? Wasn't he a high rated recruit? We don't get a lot of those guys, so I don't know them all those high rated guys. But he can really shoot. I mean, he can really shoot, and I think it's Maurice, number 10, right? I'm a numbers guy. He's come on late, and it seems like Coach Weber's really comfortable putting him in the game now. And I obviously, I didn't see him in November, December, so maybe their development has helped them turn it around a little bit. I know they had the law in February. They're not the deepest team. And I'm sure the Big 12 was so brutal. I'm sure that probably had some effect on them. Where some of maybe the other blue bloods got a few more bodies than they do, but they definitely get younger. But they're talented. Snead can really shoot. I mean, he can really, really shoot. So, whenever a guy this late in the year, when you're a guy like that, everybody knows that you're a shooter, which means you don't get a lot of wide open shots. So it means you're still making shots. That means you can make contested shots.
Josh Peter with USA Today. You referred to the growing presence of individuality and branding. Lonzo Ball's here, and his father's already started a brand for him and for his brothers. They sell T-shirts, hoodies, hats. How do you feel about kids getting ahead of the game like that?
I would say that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If everybody else can make money, they're his sons. Now, I don't think he can beat a lot of these people in one-on-one that he's claiming he can beat. But in all seriousness, I mean, they're his sons. And I firmly believe in that. And I don't think you have to worry about his kids. From what I've seen, they're worried about winning. If his son maybe passes the ball too much. But when it comes to the other side of it, I say more power to him. I mean, they're his kids. I think the era of everybody else making money is over. So I say good for him.
Kellis Repnet here with the Wichita Eagle. Coach, I think a lot of people...
Can I add one thing to that? Because I'm a parent. I think instead of kidding around about his one-on-one, I think what I saw, because I've watched some of that stuff, we should be thankful that he's a great parent that loves his kids. And his kids wouldn't be that good if he didn't spend that time with them. And he could have been sitting on the couch drinking beer and watching games, telling his kids to go across the street. He was spending time with his kids. I saw all those videos. I love my daughter. She's here with me. So his kids wouldn't be what they were if he didn't spend time with them. So all the other stuff aside, we all love to judge. Everybody's got their opinion. If he wants to say wild things, be funny, that's great for him. But I think what's lost in the shuffle, that what should be glorified, is that man's obviously is a really, really good parent that spent time with his kids. That's something I try to do in my program. I try to show my players that's the most important thing about being a man. So I applaud him for that.
Coach, I feel like people thought both you and SMU might get higher seeds in this tournament with your records. Was that surprising to you that you guys came in at number 6?
It was surprising, but I'd say it's irrelevant. I just think it's irrelevant, which has been my point. It's irrelevant. You're going to have – first of all, I don't aspire to the thought process that, if we were to lose, that our year is a failure. with the year they've had, if they don't make the Sweet 16, then it's a disappointment. What to who? My 3 seniors are going to graduate. Troy Copain became the all-time assist leader in the history of our school. We don't let other people quantify success for us. So when you talk about the tournament, the way I look at it, there's only one winner. Now I get it. People want to, when they quote coach, when people quote coaching resumes, he's been to 2 Sweet 16s and 3 Final Fours, and I know this. Like Rick Pitino's a mentor. He's like my older brother, and I tell you this, okay? He loves. I mean, the guy's competitive, but when you're, when as a coach, when people are standing around talking about you over your gravesite, we're Irish, so we know that there'll probably be a little Irish whiskey. They're not going to sit there and talk about how many Sweet 16s or Elite 8s you went to. Your former players are going to be there because you impacted their life. So I don't look so my point would be with the seed is that only one team's winning the tournament. So eventually, you're not just going to keep playing the 16 seed. So what round you might get knocked out in, to me, is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. So that's why I would say it just doesn't matter. Now you may sit there, this is crazy. We're trying to win 6 in a row and win the tournament. Or what the heck are we doing here? So what's the difference of all that stuff? I mean, yeah, you may get an easier path, well then somebody's gonna have to get upset for that to happen. Yeah, you might get 1 game off if you're playing a 15 or a 16. You might get 1 game, so you get 1 game that may be a little lighter. I mean, is that really? If you're good enough to win it, then you better be able to beat somebody. So that's why I say, it really don't matter. And all that seeding stuff, it's subjective. So, and it's always going to be subjective. There'll be years where you get a better seed. There'll be years where you get a worse seed. We've been in it 7 straight, so it is what it is.
Hey, Mick, Shelley Smith
Hey,
from ESPN.
Shelley.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Does your daughter have a brand yet?
Yeah, she's the boss. All you got to do is hang out with us. I'd like to, if I was to admit how much money she spent at shopping yesterday, it's embarrassing. Yeah, her brand is my boss, without question.
Coach Bill Koch with the Providence Journal. You played Rhode Island very early in the season. What did you see about them that might have made you believe that they would be an NCAA tournament team and get here?
Well, Danny's calmed down. He's matured a lot. I'm kidding, right? He's a good friend of mine. They get good players. I get lost in the shuffle. I know they had Martin was injured, right? And Garrett got injured in our game. Hassan got injured. They've had other guys get injured along the way. Plus, I think, then you had to integrate E.C. Matthews back into the fold. So they've been through a lot. But obviously they're playing well of late. Again, because Danny's calmed down. But, they've got a toughness about them. They're a veteran group, too. Scary when you play a veteran group is at this time of year because they've been through some battles, some wars, and they've had downs, and they've figured out that bonding together gets you back up and equals W's. So I'm glad we're not playing them.
Mark Wicker from the LA Daily News. Troy was in here talking about the mold of a Cincinnati player and how you used to watch him in the Big East tournament and the toughness and the resolve and all those things. How long does it take to kind of create that, or are they that way when you recruit them and that's what you look for?
Well, we try to recruit the best player we can that's got some character and wants to play to win. But I think, with all these kids, even the best players in the country coming out of high school, it's a lot harder than they thought once you get to college. I mean, for most of them, for 99.9% of them, college basketball is a lot tougher than they thought, just practice alone. So, Troy probably took him a year. Some guys, Jacob Evans, it did not. He was able to do it right away. It just depends. I think that we just try to make sure that we try to recruit kids that have enough character to realize that they want to get their degree and that we play to win. Now, others write that, we focus on defense. No, we try to do whatever it takes to win. We try to make every shot, too. But, to win in team sports, you have to play defense and you have to play unselfish. And, so we just try to focus on the things that it takes to win and win consistently. But, Troy's a great example of a guy that, because he couldn't guard his lunch from a pack of ants in high school. I mean, it was bad. In fact, we were at the Big East Tournament, and I was watching film of him because he signed early. So I was just sitting there one night watching. They made me a highlight reel, and they gave me a game where he had like 37, but it was just a whole game. And he had 37, but I think he gave up 37. I remember sitting there with my dad somewhere in some hotel in Manhattan thinking, boy, this guy's got a big adjustment coming. So, but I'm proud of him. He's probably the oldest senior or the youngest senior in this tournament. He turned 21, I think, like November 29th or something. So he's another kid with great character, great parents. He understands what it's all about. Be a great coach someday, hopefully.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.